But there's a name I wanted to throw at you that hasn't really been talked about enough, JD, and I think this is someone that could be a big-time help. So I'm gonna throw out Adam Thielen. So back in March, it was reported by Adam Schefter that the Chiefs had discussions with Thielen. He ultimately signed with the Panthers to a 3-year deal worth $25 million. And so far, Thielen is looking like his old self. At 33, he's still tearing it up. Third in receptions on the year in the NFL, 10th in yards. And his contract, pretty solid contract. His contract would keep him in Kansas City for 2024 at $5.5 million with a $4.5 million guarantee and a $2 million roster bonus due in March. And 2025, a $4 million hit with the $1.5 million roster bonus in March in that 2025 year. The Panthers would have to pay and pick up his $8.3 million signing bonus. So that's something that would have to be hammered out if a deal were to come to fruition. But JD, talk about how an Adam Thielen would fit in this offense. And are you buying or selling an Adam Thielen trade?
That's a good name to say, Adam Thielen. I was just talking to my nephew yesterday about Adam Thielen. We were just kind of watching how he's just torching how many catches he had last game. I'm just like, yo, Adam Thielen was, when I'm telling you, a dog, was to just absolutely slice up defenses. When he was up there in Minnesota, I mean, he was the guy, you know. And you know, look, he's got a little bit of obviously some age on him. But Adam Thielen, he's a capable wide receiver. That's a guy that you know is going to be able to catch the football. He's going to get open. He's still got all the craftiness to him. And so can we get a guy like Adam Thielen here? That's the question. That's the question about getting the trade in. I'm not opposed to that at all. Adam Thielen is a very capable wide receiver. Very capable wide receiver. So, like I said, a few years ago, he's probably one of the most highly sought after wide receivers in the game. Everybody was getting on fantasy, just watching how he was just catching the football. He run great routes. He's got great hands. He understands the game. I'm not opposed to Adam Thielen, coming here at all. It's not a bad choice right there.
And I also think that Adam Thielen kind of makes sense. Obviously, money-wise, we know how Veach is when it comes to money. That contract is not absurd at all. Obviously older, so he fits more of a timeline where a guy like who's been playing in Minnesota and then now he's going to Carolina, he's not playing for anything. His numbers are great this year, and I know he's obviously playing on a team that's not going anywhere fast, but it's a young team. They're not trying to compete for anything this year. Thielen would fit more of our timeline as far as bringing a guy who's ready to win now. Yeah. And then also, too, if we're trading assets, it's not just a one-year thing. Because I know some people were talking about Mike Evans. I see in the chat. Mike Evans' contract year. Are we going to pay him after this year? Because that would be a contingent if we trade for him a lot of assets and we don't keep him, then what's the point? Just a one-year rental. Thielen on the books for 2 more years. If we do trade draft capital like a 4th or 5th round pick, say, I don't know what they would want for him. His numbers doing pretty well this year, but I think he fits more of the timeline. What do you think about where he is in his career and how he would fit in Kansas City based on all the stuff that kind of, you talk about the contract, you talk about all that stuff. How do you think that fits?
I mean, when you're talking about, like you said, Evans, to me, it's no chance. Like you said, you get him for the 1 year, but you know that all of a sudden the contract comes up. Then what are you going to do, right? So if you're going to guy just to service you for the 1 year, then that's what you want to be able to do. I think you try to find a guy that's going to be here for at least another couple of years, and money-wise, contract-wise, if it works out, then that's the way that you go. But like you said, we know Veach. Veach is not one of those guys that's going to give up the farm to kind of get a guy here. And so if it works out, if it makes sense contractually, then I think that's something that you have to explore, no doubt about it. So I see a lot of different people talking about, Jerry Jeudy, T. Higgins. He's another guy that's, just kind of out of our realm. I think, when we're talking about trying to get somebody here that is going to work financially, then that makes more sense. And then trying to get the most out of that guy as far as, money-wise, does those things add up, right? Because they say, hey, look, the math ain't mathing. Okay. Sometimes some guys we get here, the math ain't gonna math, right? Because we still have other guys that we need to sign that we need to stay here that's in the building, in the Chiefs. And so, we'll get there. We'll get there. And, we keep talking about these things. And look, these are all trade rumors. These are all rumors what guys are going to do. We don't know if things are going to happen. We also think, and we've talked about this, that these young guys are some of these guys who still want to develop. You know, we talked about Hardman possibility coming back in the building because we know him. We've had him here. He's cut his teeth here. He's grown here. We drafted him. So he's a guy that would bring a lot of juice back here to the table. And so I think really when you're talking about a championship team, you need a guy that's going to be able to fit into the culture. Okay. That's the reality. And so nobody's going to usurp what we're trying to do for the long term. And so, yeah, Hardman, definitely Adam Thielen. You know, I don't know if Mike Evans works for us. I don't know if those guys actually work and fit into what we're trying to do. And then, like I said, if the math ain't math, and then, you know, they ain't trying to touch that. They ain't trying to do it.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Yeah, obviously T Higgins, and that's the thing we see in the chat. Hollywood Brown's another name that's been I've seen out there, but also I gotta say, JD, with the amount that Arizona paid to get Hollywood Brown, yeah, I feel like they're going to want a good return back for Hollywood Brown. And I think some fans think we can get him at a bargain. And he's actually looking pretty well this year. Also, another bad team that's, you know, having to throw all game long. Yeah, what do you think about the Hollywood Brown as far as between him or Thielen, who would probably be a better fit based on all things considered, money, how much you'd have to trade to get him?
I mean, I like Hollywood Brown. He's a baller. We know that. He's a guy that can definitely take the top off the defense. He's a fast guy. Catches the ball well, but he was with the Ravens. They didn't really have anybody around him at the time. I thought they would keep him, but like you said, Arizona gave up a lot to try to get him. So they're going to try to recruit that, what they lost.
Yep.
So, I like Hollywood Brown. I like because he's a dynamic player. We know he can get in and out the break. He can make people miss. All those good things. But it's the same thing. What is it going to cost us to get a guy like Hollywood Brown here? So there's, look, I've said there's different names. There's so many different names everybody's thrown out here. So, hey, look, there's a lot of speculation. I still think that at the end of the day, the Chiefs are probably looking to see the guys that's in the room. And if they do get a guy, it's going to be somebody that they know. And so I think that kind of fits a little bit better for what they're thinking in that realm. And so that's just the reality of it. We can name any guy out there. Shoot, hey, why not try to get Devontae Adams? I mean, just throw some names out there, right? You just say, oh, can this work? Can we get a guy here every trade and stuff? So some teams ain't gonna give them up, man. But look, I've seen out here the younger guys need to develop. I think we got a great guy in Rashid Rice. Okay, get Justin Ross a little bit more time. Get him out there. Get him some experience. And we just got to see what Kadarius Toney's going to do. So it is about this patience. There's a sense of just having that patience, right? Patience is a virtue. There's a reason it's a virtue. Okay, we just got to be able to deal with these things for a while. As much as everybody doesn't like seeing the offense where it is, we're not too bad. I'm looking at the numbers. We're not terrible by no means. Pacheco's doing a great job. Our defense is playing at a high level. So if our defenses continue to play at a high level, what they've been doing, help carrying the offense, this is what part of team ball is, right? And so if we just keep working on our offense and our defense is actually, playing balls out, lights out right now, then we're in a good spot. We're in a good position. We get Charles Omenihu back, which is going to just add on to what we've been doing. Now, I love all those things, but I keep going back to the same things, man. You develop the guys in the room. If you get a guy, you got to get a guy that we know. And to me, makes sense. Hardman. Every time I keep going back to it, it's just like, you know what, God, it really does make sense. And I made that point the other day, Marcus. So I was talking about, if Hardman hadn't gotten hurt, he probably would have been our first or second leading receiver on the team last year. Seriously. So I don't know, man. Everybody got a lot of different opinions. Those are just mine. But I do like the names you got, but some of the names everybody's throwing out here, man, not so much.
Yeah. Then also too, I think Mecole Hardman, he's not being utilized at all in New York. I think they would get off him at a pretty cheap price. I don't think it would be that much. Probably like a Cam Akers type deal that the Minnesota and Rams made, like a 2027 conditional 7th round pick or something like that. So yeah, I see that. Obviously, he's not going to cost a lot. So a guy who's only on a 1-year deal, I think paying not that much for him, that's fine. And a guy who knows the system already, so I agree with that.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.